Welcome back to Gaelic Games Fan TV. A massive result, a massive win for Galway. They have beaten Tyrone 110 to 12 points at Healy Park to pick up their first win in 2024 in the National Football League. And look, it certainly wasn't the best game. Certainly during the first half, there were probably moments where a lot of viewers, including myself, probably very close to falling asleep watching that at the best of times. But look, Galway dug deep. They got the victory. They got over the line in the end, and it was massively needed after what was a very poor first half. I think from both sides, really, but in particular from Galway towards the end of that first half, where they kept losing possession, poor shooting. You do have to credit Tyrone. Like, they got some wonderful blocks in and some really good pieces of defending. The likes of Shawnee O'Donnell, I remember, put in a huge block. And Niall Devlin, even, I thought, did very well defensively. But yeah, it was just a very slow game in the first half. Neither side really looked at the races. Neither side really looked to be at their best. And yeah, like Galway really, I think how Galway won this game was just how they started the second half. They came out absolutely raring to go, like straight from the get-go at the start of the second half with Matthew Tierney going straight for the point, running the distance and popping the ball over the bar. Like, Tyrone certainly had some good moments in the game, and I think both sides did all right defensively at different moments in the game. But at the same time, I think both sides, in terms of attack, like really struggled to create chances. I think both sides were very hesitant to take chances. Like, even towards the end, that opportunity for Tyrone, like Tyrone they have the ball for nearly the best part of a minute before they eventually work the ball to Noel Morgan, but Joe McQuillan's blown his whistle at that point. And to be fair, I think he was well within his right to blow the whistle at that point because, we played well over, I think we played 4 minutes, 40 seconds, so about 40, 50 seconds over the additional added time that was going in. And yeah, Galway just about done enough. Obviously, Cathal Sweeney with an absolutely huge goal as well, which put Galway in front. There was some good players. I thought Jack McGrath, obviously a wing back as well, or a cornerback, I thought had a very good game from a Galway. Johnny McGrath, I should say, a cornerback, had a very good game from a Galway perspective. And yeah, like, it's kind of hard to break down the game really because not really too much happened. Like, both sides holding the ball for large parts. Tyrone holding the ball for large parts. Galway doing very similar. Obviously, Darragh Canavan goes off after 57 minutes, which I suppose if he wasn't playing Sigerson Cup during the week, he probably plays the full 70. And I think Tyrone did lose that extra bit of emphasis in their attack when Darragh Canavan did go off. Like, Kieran Daly played all right, 3 points from him. But apart from that, like, they were like, when you actually look at their scores, like Noel Morgan scored 2 points, Devlin a cornerback with a point, Michael McKernan and Peter Hart both on the score sheet. In terms of their forwards, they didn't really get too much from their forwards, in my opinion. And Darragh Canavan obviously goes off, and they certainly lost a good bit of attack and threat sort of towards the end of the game. But you have to credit Galway. Robert Finnerty was absolutely brilliant. He was the one player in the first half who was converting his chances. He was making himself alive. And they stood up in the second half big time. Matthew Tierney, very good. Johnny Heaney, I thought, was excellent as well. And it was a really solid performance from Galway in the second half after what was a very disappointing first half. And you were looking at it and thinking, from a Galway perspective, if they don't show a bit of metal, a bit of bite in that second half, then I think they're gone. I think they're done and dusted. And I think that's what Pádraig Joyce probably said to them at half time. Like, if you don't go out there, show something, we're headed for Division 2. And to be fair, they did. And it was a massive victory for them to get over the line. In fairness, Sky Glass says, I'm glad Galway won. Absolutely. Yeah, look, it was, I'm sure for any Galway fans watching, they'll be delighted they got over the line. Like, maybe a few contentious refereeing decisions towards the end. Johnny Heaney's, the foul on Johnny Heaney towards the end. I think it was a foul, in fairness. And even at that, Sean Kelly obviously runs down the other end for Galway, and obviously puts the ball wide. So that leaves the opportunity for Tyrone still to work a chance. So it's one of them. Like, this game really could have went either way. I think both sides have a lot of improving to do, really. I think both sides will be a lot better come championship time. Absolutely no doubt about it. But I think for Galway, considering, they didn't have Damien Comer, they didn't have Shane Walsh. Obviously Matthew Tierney, like freshly back on the side, Robert Finnerty in the team as well, Paul Conroy back in, freshly back in the side. They needed a performance here. Because I think there is a lot of question marks over Galway when they don't have Shane Walsh, when they don't have Damien Comer. And there was too many passengers in that first half, too many players going anonymous. But in the second half, they dug deep, they got over the line, and they got the victory. And look, absolutely huge in the context of how Division 1 is looking. Every team now in Division 1 has a victory barring Roscommon. And even at that, Roscommon do still have a point on the board from their draw with Galway. And I think this result has taken Galway from 7th to 4th. So it's a huge difference. And you're talking about the point swing as well, how they've lost this game. Tyrone would have jumped up to 4 points. That's a 3-point gap. But now instead, Galway are a point ahead of Tyrone themselves. So look, it's going to be very, very tight down at the bottom of the league. And I do think you're going to have a scenario where there's going to be a whole host of teams, possibly in with a chance of relegation, but possibly also in with a chance of getting to that league final as well, albeit, I think you would say Derry probably have 1 foot in that league final already with how well they're playing, and then you'd probably be looking towards Kerry and Mayo, one of them two possibly to get into the league final as well. Probably Kerry with how well they've looked in the last 2 games, in fairness. But yeah, look, I think to summarise, like Galway just showed a lot more mettle, a lot more bite in the second half. Their midfield really started to dominate in terms of kickouts, in terms of turnovers. John Marr, Paul Conroy, Dylan McHugh was very good as well. John Daly, I thought, had an excellent game. And yeah, Galway just started frustrating Tyrone more and more. I think the more that Galway started to build up a lead, like the more of a lead Galway started to build up towards the end of the game, I think especially for Tyrone, there was a bit more of panic in their play. And yeah, like, look, it's one of them scenarios for either side. I don't think either team will look back at this game at the end of the year with any, with any sort of huge memory. But it's a springboard for Galway, and it's certainly much needed for them after what has been a very slow start to the league, and especially with the likes of Derry, Kerry, and Dublin still to play for Galway. So Galway are by no means out of this just yet. But if they had lost this, I think it would have been curtains for them. So it was a massive, massive victory as well, in fairness. Who won between Kildare and Armagh? That game is starting at 3:45. So we'll see what happens there. Are Kerry playing the Dubs next? They are. Kerry are playing Dublin at Croke Park. So that should be look, I'm going to be at that game. So it should be a cracking game, in fairness. Especially with the form of Kerry. The Cliffords obviously back on the side. So yeah, I think that's going to be a very, very interesting game, in fairness. But yeah, I think in terms of man of the match, you would have to give it to Rob Finnerty. 4 points from him. He really stood up when Galway were poor enough, to be fair, in the first half. He kicked 3 points in that first half, so he was absolutely excellent. And Galway just scrapped their way to victory, really. I think that's the only way to describe it. And for Tyrone, a little bit disappointing. Back-to-back defeats. They showed a lot of promise in that opening day versus Roscommon. I think they were a lot better today than they were against Derry. Albeit Derry are in absolutely flying form at the minute. So I think the difference probably between a lot of teams in the league, you can see a lot of teams in the league are missing chances. There's rustiness. They're not up to full scratch just yet. But you're looking at Derry, and they're not missing chances. They're absolutely flying out of the gates. The sharpness is there, the match fitness is there, whereas a lot of other sides are probably trying to get up to speed. And I think that's why Derry have, been able to punish pretty much everyone they've played so far. But yeah, look, I mean, there will be improvements for Tyrone to do. Still have some tough fixtures, likes of Kerry, likes of Dublin still to come as well at Croke Park on the final day. So, and obviously still have a couple of players to come back. And a lot of younger lads in this Tyrone side, in fairness. And to be fair, Kieran Daly was very, very good. They showed a lot of good defensive promise in the first half. There is positives to take from Tyrone. I was a little bit frustrated in the second half with them. The way we see this with a lot of teams at times, just keeping the ball consistently, not going for the point when it's on. And there was multiple times, even in that last passage of play, Rory Canavan has the ball in a great position where he can take the points. Michael McKernan has the ball where he can take when he can go for a point. And let's not forget Michael McKernan with an absolutely majestic outside of the boot point earlier on in that second half. So he would have been full of confidence. And they just took too long with that chance, and ultimately the referee blew his whistle. Derry are definitely getting in the final at least once in the next 5 to 10 years if they keep this up, says Sky Glass. Yeah, look, I think they're on course to certainly get into the league final this year, and possibly even an All-Ireland final as well. So we will obviously have to wait and see what happens there. Are you watching the Armagh game? Absolutely, yeah. Starts at 3:45. So, I'll be watching that game. There'll be a reaction after that game, match reaction out after that game as well. Big game, obviously, for both Kildare and Armagh. Armagh maybe very close to sealing promotion. Kildare in a lot of trouble at the minute, and they certainly need a performance. So, be very curious to see how that game goes. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on the game. Man of the match, Sky Glass says here, you streaming. I won't be doing a watch along, but we will hopefully be bringing the watch alongs back very soon. Yeah, let us know in the comments down below your thoughts on the game. Man of the match, as I was saying, not the greatest spectacle of football, that goes to say. A very, very sort of early league feel to this game as it was. Neither side really particularly at it. And Galway just about snatched it. Both sides certainly have a lot of improvement to do. You would watch this game and you would say that you'd be very surprised if either of these two won in All-Ireland this year. But look, very early days, and a huge win for Galway nonetheless, because it does give them now something to build off, and it gives them a good chance now at staving off any relegation worries, which, look, I think would be the minimum requirement from a Galway perspective. So, yeah, let us know in the comments down below your thoughts on the game. My name is Aaron, and I will speak to you all soon.